Well, I think social networking is the way that people interact between each other.
I think it's connecting with people through social media.
It's a process of people sharing information and contacts nowadays by internet mainly.
Well, it's stuff like Facebook and Twitter, and it's for contacting your friends and maybe sending them pictures. So it's useful from time to time. Don't use it a lot, but only learning how to use it.
Social media plays a part in everyone's life. It's something that influences our daily routine. It plays a major role in how people communicate with one another. And it's something seen everywhere around us. Social media is essentially a category of online media where people are talking, participating, sharing and networking online. Take a look at Facebook, formed in 2004. This site has 1.2 billion active users every month. And Twitter, formed in 2006, has 130 million tweets every month. These are the two major sites of social networking.
Social networking sites have started affecting people's personalities. The person sitting right next to you wouldn't bother speaking to you much. But when it comes to social networking or chatting, they can go on for hours together and enjoy learning about you. This is not a good thing that people have started to prefer that behind the phone interaction is better than face-to-face conversation. It is not healthy. Yes, people who can't meet up is a different matter altogether, but getting less talkative, more typative is not all a positive aspect of an individual, unless we build it on a positive approach.
Social networking first started out by sending simple emails to each other. But now, technology has evolved and the possibilities are endless. People enjoy social media sites because they can easily use them to contact old friends, meet new people, and tweet whatever they feel like. However, life has not always been like this. People of the older generation had other, more simpler ways of communicating with one another.
A telegram would come. Now the older generation would get telegrams if there was anything from the post office. A man would have to come out, or a postman come out and deliver it and pay for it, and that's it. There was no phones, there was no landlines at that time, so that was the only way they communicated with them things, you know, business. So then an email would have been good at that time, all right, but that didn't come in, it wasn't there. Then, you know, it hadn't come on around, so, well then, socialising among ourselves, as we got a bit older, we socialised, going kicking football, going fishing. The lads would come down from the different areas and we'd have a good old bit of sport with them. And then later on we went to the dances and the pictures maybe, you know. But at the present day, it's changed. Socialising with the young people has changed a lot. It's a good thing, all right, but it has to be controlled. Sometimes it's let go too far, you know, with pressure on people, you know. But it's a good advance, all right, in technology and communications, yeah. Well, it probably has a big impact because the kids are very taken up with it and spend a lot of time on it, and they're well able to communicate with one another on it, but it has to be controlled as well in the home. They are changing daily behaviour, you know, you have this pressure on, peer pressure and all that kind of thing. It's got certain people come under the pressure and they think they have to do these things, and it's not good that way. it's all about controlling it, isn't it? And making sure that it's not overdone, you know.
We can now see the way as people communicate has evolved immensely. Social networking has got to the point where people cannot go a day without scrolling through their news feeds or update their Facebook status. This feeling of missing out is one part of the human condition. Humans as a species need constant interaction to feel fulfilled in our daily lives. We did a survey to see that people think of social networking As we can see, the younger generation are at the forefront of engaging new technology. This new technology cannot only be used for social aspects but also have business implications. We discussed this with a DJ and got his opinion on the impact of social networking on both a personal and business level.
Social networking is, I suppose, it's the newest way for people to stay in contact with each other. Years ago, the only way people had to stay in contact with each other was maybe through the telephone, sending letters, even face to face. Whereas nowadays, people are staying in touch through the likes of Facebook, Twitter, even the newest one is probably Snapchat. And I think it's a good way for people to stay in contact with people who have moved away and are living in different parts of the world. They can see what their friends are doing on a day-to-day basis now, as opposed to maybe once a week, once a month when you just make a phone call. Definitely for social networking, I think it's an absolutely brilliant way for people to now stay in contact with each other. I have friends living in America, in the United Kingdom, people in Australia, whereas years ago, even not so long ago, 10 years ago, you'd have no real way of knowing what they were up to or even staying in contact with them. Text messaging is too expensive. Whereas through the internet, it's pretty much free and you can chat to them on a day-to-day basis if you want, and it's a great way for people to stay in contact. I even know of a lady and she's a son living in Australia. The wife has recently had a child and now she's able to get photos of the baby and see them day to day. Whereas years ago, if you got a couple of letters in the post, that was as good as it got for you. So I think social networking in that terms is absolutely fantastic. I use it for promotional work for my business. I also use it personally as well to stay in contact. From a promotional side of view, it's absolutely great to let people know what's happening, where you're working, where you're gigging that weekend, or even if your friends are doing gigs, to let other people know. And it's good that way that people can help each other out. I have a friend DJing down in Kilkenny this weekend. I can let people in Carlow know what's happening, and vice versa. He can let people know where I'm gigging, and it's absolutely brilliant that way. And even for promoting individual bars you're working in, it's great. It's the newest way of basically letting the general public know what's happening. Social networking has definitely changed people's daily routines and opinions. They even from what I've seen, I started DJing maybe 12 years ago, and in those days the only time you'd ever see anyone with a phone maybe is if they were texting someone or going outside to make a phone call. Nowadays they're just people are constantly on their phones. They're updating Facebook statuses, they're sending tweets, they're taking pictures, Snapchats. Is that good or bad? That's debatable. I'd kind of be half and half on that one now. It can be annoying to see people in a pub just constantly on their phone. It's kind of lost that face-to-face interaction with people. It just does depress me a little bit when I see 5 or 6 people around a table all on their phones at the same time. Saying that though, they're spreading, from my point of view, if they're saying, oh, I'm in such and such a pub, brilliant night, place is packed, that's good for me, because it's going to mean people are going to find out about it quicker and people are going to come down. In terms of social media evolving, it's really hard to say. I mean, years ago I couldn't have told you the way things have gone now. very hard to say where it's going to go in the future. I mean, what more is there? I mean, you're constantly updating your Facebook statuses, you're constantly putting up pictures, your videos, the likes of FaceTime. You can just sit there with your phone in front of you and talk to somebody on the other side of the world. Where it's going to go next, honestly, I don't know.
Many people view social networking as a very negative entity in society today. However, social networking has proved to be a useful resource for people trying to gain recognition for their work and achievements.
I suppose up to about 3 years ago, we've had about 300 open access computers here in the library, which students would just come in, sit down and use as they need them, log on, log off and do the college related activities. And that was their purpose. At the time, 3 years ago, most people didn't have as much broadband at home, and a lot of our students didn't have laptops, tablets and stuff like that. So they were very dependent on the availability of the desktop computers here. Then I suppose Bebo and Facebook came on the scene a couple, maybe 3-4 years ago. And then, you know, suddenly the desktop computers became a very popular destination for students to come in, sit down, use the college broadband and do a lot of their Facebook and social networking activities during the day on our computers. Coming up to exams then, we had a number of students, possibly 3 to 4 years ago at this stage, we had a number of deputations of students came to us just to complain about the lack of access to computing facilities in the library. The facilities were there but had been used by students sitting for a long time, sitting down doing their social networking. And so the initial request to do something about this came from the students themselves. So at the time, in discussion with the Students' Union, we came to a sort of a compromise that, well, what it resulted in is that we put in a block of particularly Facebook. It wasn't even just generally social networking sites, it was just Facebook was the problem. So we blocked Facebook from 9 to 5. And after 5 o'clock then, students and Saturdays, students had access to Facebook on their desktop PC. So that was a big improvement, and Student Union were happy and students were happy. So that continued in place up to the end of the academic year 2012-2013. At that stage, we had specific issues on Facebook and the particular website Spotted at IT Carlow, where over the space of a few days we had numerous requests or complaints through student services from students who were being offended by specific content that was being put up on Facebook through IT Carlow. So we met with managers here from student services and from senior academic managers, and the agreement was we didn't want our network being used to cause offence to students. Apart from being in breach of policy anyway, we didn't want to make it any easier, so we decided then to block Facebook completely, and we've done that on our college desktop computers since then. We've been blocking Facebook on the desktop computers. On the other side, on the Wi-Fi network, we haven't. We've left Facebook is available through there, and we just left that there for people to bring their own devices. The same policy applies to people with their own devices. They still can't cause offence to students in any shape or form using our network. So we haven't had a problem since last year, since blocking Facebook on the desktops and leaving it open on Wi-Fi. We've had no issues this year. You know, students are getting reasonable access to desktop computers. We've had no incidents of say students being offended by activities on our network. So it's working okay. So I suppose long-winded answer to your question, the initial block of Facebook was because students didn't have enough access to our desktop computers, and we needed to, in conjunction with the students and the Students' Union, we put in a control that blocked Facebook so that the PCs would be released for students to do their own academic work. And then in latter this year, I suppose, there was more of a focused blockage on Facebook because of undesirable activity concerning our students that force us to consider how much access we have. The nature of Twitter is really, because of it, it's just basically very much like texting. We find students don't really use our desktop computers so much for Twitter. It's more likely something they're going to use on their mobile networks. And we haven't had so it's available on the Wi-Fi. Most people, from our experience, use Twitter on their mobile devices, their phones, their laptops, and don't seem to sit down as much at our desktops and spend long times doing Twitter. So from that point of view, we haven't blocked it, and we'll always keep it under review. If Twitter becomes a huge headache and students are either abusing one another on it or taking lots of time, we'll review it, but for the moment it hasn't been a problem.
We can see that today's society have mixed reactions to social networking. It's here to stay, but it's up to the future generation to use this new technology wisely.